Have you ever said yes to something you really wanted to say no to, just to avoid disappointing someone? Maybe you agreed to work late again, lent money you couldn't spare, or attended a social event when you were completely drained. If that little voice in your head is screaming, "I've been there," then this video is for you. We often feel this immense guilt when we try to prioritize our own needs, as if we're being selfish or unkind. But what if I told you that setting boundaries isn't selfish? It's a fundamental act of self-care and respect. Today, we're going to dive deep into how to set healthy boundaries without that heavy weight of guilt. So, what exactly are boundaries? Think of them as the invisible lines you draw around yourself to protect your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. They're your personal rule book for how you want to be treated by others. Without them, we can easily become overwhelmed, resentful, and burnt out. The guilt we feel often stems from a deep-seated desire to be liked, to be a good person, or from a fear of conflict. We worry that saying no will damage our relationships or make people think less of us. Let's break this down. The first step is to identify your limits. You can't set a boundary if you don't know where you stand. Take some time for self-reflection. What drains your energy? What makes you feel resentful or taken advantage of? For example, maybe you realize that you feel exhausted every time you have a long phone call with a particular friend who only talks about their problems without ever asking about you. That feeling of exhaustion is a signal. Or perhaps you notice a pit in your stomach every time your boss asks you to take on just one more thing at 5 p.m. on a Friday. These are your cues. Your body and emotions are telling you that a limit has been crossed. Get a notebook and jot down these situations. Recognizing these patterns is the crucial first step. You need to know what your yes and no feel like. Once you've identified your limits, the next step is to communicate them clearly and respectfully. This is where many of us stumble, fearing the other person's reaction. The key is to be direct, but kind. You don't need to provide a long, elaborate excuse. A simple, firm statement is often the most effective. Instead of ghosting a text or making up a complicated story, try a simple formula. State your boundary, and if you want, offer an alternative. For instance, let's go back to that friend who drains your energy. Instead of avoiding their calls, you could say, "I'd love to catch up, but I only have about 15 minutes to chat right now. Is that okay?" You've set a time limit, respecting your own energy while still showing you care. Let's take another example. Imagine a family member who often drops by unannounced. This might be fine for some, but for you, it disrupts your workflow or your downtime. The guilt might tell you, "They just want to see me, I shouldn't be so rigid." But your need for personal space is valid. Instead of just enduring it, you could say, "I love it when you visit, but my schedule is a bit tight these days. It would be really helpful for me if you could give me a quick call or text before you head over, just to make sure it's a good time." See? You're not saying don't visit. You're saying, "Let's coordinate," which is perfectly reasonable. You're honoring the relationship while also honoring your own needs. The goal is not to build walls, but to build a gate where you control who comes in and when. Now, let's tackle the guilt head-on. When you first start setting boundaries, the guilt can be intense. It's a learned response, and it will take time to unlearn. When that feeling creeps in, remind yourself why you are setting this boundary. Say to yourself, "I am setting this boundary to protect my energy so I can be a better friend, partner, employee." Or, "I am doing this to prevent burnout." Reframe it as an act of self-preservation, not selfishness. Understand that you are not responsible for other people's reactions. If someone gets angry or upset because you've set a reasonable boundary, their reaction is about their own expectations, not about you being a bad person. True friends and supportive partners will respect your limits, even if they're a little disappointed at first. Their respect for your no is a good indicator of the health of the relationship. Let's talk about work. The workplace is a common area where boundaries get blurred. Let's say your colleague constantly asks you for help with their tasks, causing you to fall behind on your own work. You feel guilty saying no because you want to be a team player, but your primary responsibility is your own job. You could say, "I'd really like to help, but I'm on a tight deadline right now. Maybe we can ask our manager if we can officially reprioritize some tasks, or perhaps I can show you how I do it once I am finished with my current project." This approach is collaborative, not confrontational. It shows you're willing to help, but reinforces that your own work comes first. It shifts the focus to finding a solution rather than you just taking on extra, unassigned labor. Remember, a no to a colleague is often a yes to your own productivity and career growth. It's also crucial to be prepared for some pushback. Not everyone will respond with understanding and grace. Some people are used to you always saying yes. When you change the dynamic, they might test your new boundary. They might try to guilt trip you, saying things like, "But I thought we were friends," or "You always used to help me." This is the critical moment. You must hold firm. If you give in, you teach them that your boundary is negotiable. It's okay to repeat your boundary calmly. You can say, "I understand this is different, but I need to stick to this for my own well-being." Consistency is your best friend here. Every time you successfully hold a boundary, it gets easier, and the guilt lessens. You are reprogramming your brain and your relationships for a healthier dynamic. Let's summarize the key steps. First, listen to your feelings to identify your limits. What makes you feel drained or resentful? Second, communicate your boundaries with simple, clear, and respectful language. The "I feel" statement can be your best friend. For example, "I feel overwhelmed when I have to make last-minute plans." Third, reframe your guilt. Remember, you are doing this for your long-term health and the health of your relationships. You're not being mean. You're being honest. And finally, be consistent. Prepare for some pushback and hold your ground. Your boundaries are valid, and you have the right to enforce them. Setting boundaries is a skill, like learning to ride a bike. You'll wobble, you might fall, and you'll definitely feel a bit scared at first. But with practice, it becomes second nature. Start small. Pick one low-stakes situation this week to practice setting a boundary. Maybe it's saying no to a second helping of dessert, or telling a friend you can't talk on the phone because you're about to watch a movie. Celebrate that small victory. Each time you honor your own needs, you build self-respect and self-trust. You'll find that instead of pushing people away, healthy boundaries actually bring you closer to the right people, the ones who respect and value the real you. Your energy will increase, your resentment will fade, and you will feel more in control of your own life. It's a journey, not a destination, so be patient and compassionate with yourself along the way. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope these tips help you on your journey to a more balanced and guilt-free life. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss our future content. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share one small boundary you're planning to set this week. Let's support each other. Remember, your well-being matters. Until next time, take care.